Hey Film Courage fans, my name is Vince Buda. I'm an independent film producer based out of Toronto, Canada. I'm the producer of the feature film called Crown and Anchor, which is out in theaters as we speak in select cities across North America. You can check out crownandanchorfilm.com for more info on that. I'm really excited to make this video today. I hope it is of use to some of you out there, some up-and-coming independent filmmakers, or if you're just that kid that's straight out of film school. I want to sort of talk about or offer up some tips that I've gathered along the way in the trenches of independent filmmaking. And these are sort of things that, we don't really learn in school. That you only really learn when you're out there and making a film happen. And also, I think that there's not a whole lot of resources out there for producers. I think there's a whole lot of resources for if you're a director, or if you're a screenwriter, if you need to learn about how to build character, or for story arc and screenwriting, technical things that you'll need to know if you're a cinematographer or want to be a cinematographer. There really isn't a whole lot of information for producers, and so hopefully in some way this will add to filling that void. But first I want to talk about Crown and Anchor because I'm really excited about it. My team and I are really excited about it, and it's sort of out there in the world now and kind of doing really well with audiences. People are really responding to it well, and we're incredibly excited about that and grateful for it. Crown and Anchor is an intense family crime drama that takes a look at what the effects are of growing up in an environment of addiction and abuse. There are two things that have flipped many, many families, and I'm sure that resonates with a lot of you watching this. There's a real focus on family here, and there's a real focus on how that kind of environment can either the effects of it can manifest itself in a way where you sort of go out into the straight and narrow, but still are internally suffering from some of your experiences as a younger person, or it affects you in a way where you are externally living out some of the same kind of qualities of people in your past that were addicts or those same sort of abusive tendencies. I produced it with, it was produced by myself, my co-producers Matt Wells and Michael Rowe, who both of which also are actors and play the lead characters in the film. Their names are James Downey and Danny Power. And the film was very bravely directed by Andrew Rowe, who makes his feature-length film debut as a director after having had a really successful career as a short film director. So it's truly independent in spirit. It's a sort of nod to those independent films that we loved from the 70s and the 90s, where there was the sole focus was about creating a film that we loved, that we could stand behind, that was unwavering, that despite a lack of resources, we were never going to compromise the dream. We were never going to compromise the quality, the story, the talent in actors. It was really always about doing whatever it took to make a pretty fantastic movie. And I am biased, of course, because I produced this film, but I can honestly say with full authenticity that is what we've accomplished. So what I want to talk about today is 5 tips that I want to offer up that hopefully can help you out if you're starting out in the industry, if you are just out of film school and sort of wide-eyed and ambitious and really want to get into this industry and get started. These are, I guess, my 5 tips on how to successfully produce an independent film, and things that you need to successfully produce an independent film that they didn't teach you in film school. The first tip is probably the most important one, and it is a question that you've got to ask yourself. And before you even embark on this enormous challenge of making an independent film, or before you even enter this industry, is you've got to ask yourself, why do you want to make a movie? And if your reason is anything other than you absolutely love films and you absolutely are excited at the idea of making a movie, then your intentions are all wrong. If you're in this because you want to strike it rich, or if you're in this because you want to become famous, those things aren't entirely impossible, but the likelihood is rare. So what's going to sustain you throughout the process of making a film? As I've mentioned many times, it's a huge challenge. It is an enormous undertaking. It's going to be something that's going to completely consume your life. So when you are in the trenches and you are met up against an enormous challenge or something that seems like it's impossible to resolve, or when you're missing out on a lot in your life because you've got to be at home working on something, and no one is even noticing that you're doing all of that work because it's just you with pen and paper or your laptop, what is the thing that is driving you? Or how are you going to stay self-motivated? And the only thing that is going to sustain you is that you have an absolute passion for this art form, but equally as important as that is that you have an absolute passion and belief in the film that you're making. When I got the script for Crown and Anchor, it was unlike anything I had ever read before, and the thing that I loved most about it was that it was a script that seemed familiar to me in some ways, that it would sort of was similar in many ways to a lot of the films that I just love, but it was very uniquely its own film. So it was an opportunity for me to produce something that really was an ode to the filmmaking of generations past that I absolutely loved and have absorbed over the years. But it was also a way to be part of something that was unique and interesting and exciting and felt like a real kind of contribution to cinema. So really, really ask yourself why you are doing this, because you really, really need to be in it because you absolutely love it. Because it can be, it's a difficult journey at times, it's a lonely journey at times. Despite having a team, you're all sort of collectively doing things to make this show happen, and sometimes that's separate, and a lot of times it's together. But what is sustaining you? And so the only thing that can be sustaining you is you being in it for the right reasons, and you being in it because you have to satiate a real kind of tangible passion that you have in your life. Tip number 2, find your people. And what I mean by that isn't, assemble a really, really good team, find a really great production designer or a hair and makeup or a great director or editor, whatever crew or cast member it may be. That's obviously very important. You've got to assemble a really great team of people that are talented, that you trust, that you believe in, that will contribute a lot to the film, that you can sort of allow to bring the best of themselves to the project. What I mean by find your people is find your people that you want to partner with, people that you want to embark on this kind of journey with, people that you trust and that you respect. That could be a co-producer, or that could be a director, or whoever, a screenwriter, but that person or persons that you are going to continue to produce projects with. The people that are by your side are incredibly important because you're going to rely on them, they're going to rely on you, and apart from that, it's, you each bring something to the project that the other doesn't have or has. On Crown and Anchor, we all had different skill sets as producers that we brought to the table. So find people that have a skill that you necessarily may not have, or have skill sets that complement yours, that you're both strong in certain areas. But find people that are skillful, that have an equal amount of passion and determination as you do, and have equal belief in the project. Because you can't do it alone, and it's such a huge undertaking that you really need support. But it's also not even just about the making of the film. You know, making a movie is difficult, but it's also a lot of fun, and you want to make it with people that you have fun with. You know, you want to make it with someone that you, at the end of a 14-hour shoot day, you would still choose to hang out with them and have a drink, or that you think you'd really have a blast with going on traveling for a festival tour or a film festival tour. People that you ideally, outside of working on a project like this, would choose to be friends with. You know, people that want you to be as successful as they are, that have your complete back, that they want you to gain as much out of this as them, that you're all sort of in it together, and you know, when there are huge victories, you're celebrating in a really fun and exciting way, and then when you're down and out, you know, you're both in a position where operating still from a position of not giving up. You know, you just got to find those people that you completely click with in terms of how you perceive making a film, how far you're willing to go. That is incredibly important because, again, you can't do it alone, and you shouldn't even try to do it alone. It's too much of an undertaking. So find your people. It's incredibly important. Tip number 3 is reframing the word no, because no is not an option. I can't tell you how often you're going to hear the word no. It's just a part of this whole process. You know, in a lot of ways, making a film is a risk, and you're going to encounter that word in every single step along the way, from pre-production to production to post to all of it. You're going to, in the pre-production stage, be told that, you know, your script is too long, or your script doesn't fit this demographic, or your script won't be sold, or your script won't whatever. In production, you're gonna have talent that won't accept an offer because it's an independent film with a low budget, and you know, you're going to find crew that will say no to you. You'll find vendors that won't cut you a deal. You'll be met with so many no's throughout the process that it's just gotta be something that you've got to accept and something that you've got to get used to. So you've got to have a thick skin, because no is not an option. So you've got to reframe that word no. And you've got to reframe it to mean not for you, no for you, but yes for someone else that is equally as good, or equally as talented, or equally as will have an equal contribution to the film. No might be, you know, no from this sales agent or this distributor, but it means that it's just not for you. If you don't believe in that, if they don't believe in that film, then they're not the sales agent that you want, or distributor that you want anyway. So you go after the right person, you find that right person. No could mean, you know, this location won't be available, and so you've got to make it work, and you've got to find something that will be as equally the right fit for whatever scene you're shooting. No will be there constantly. It's a constant no, but reframe that so that it doesn't, you know, feel like completely compounded on one no stacked on top of the other, because that will happen. It's inevitable. But really, if you look at the word from a different perspective, and you change it to just somewhere else, or yes somewhere else, then it'll never be an option to give up. So reframe the word no, because you will hear it a lot. Tip number 4 is identifying your resources. This is incredibly important. And what I mean by that isn't, you know, understanding what your budget point is, because obviously you know how much money you've got to make the film. But separate from that, it's identifying a list of resources that you can access that will add value to the film. The nature of making an independent film is that you probably don't have a whole lot of money. But that shouldn't discourage you, and you should never you come from a place of you know, settling, because you want to make a high quality film. what we achieved with Crown and Anchor is something I'm incredibly proud of, because the film, in terms of quality, in terms of not just only picture quality and sound quality, but story and the talent that we were able to get in the actors and actresses that we have, is all combined creates a film that I think stands up against every major Hollywood picture in theaters right now.
Have you heard about all the drugs going around?
I have.
Now, back in the day, your father and I would have handled this. And if he was here now, maybe we'd still handle it. But he's not. And that's on you. So, the way I see it, you gotta handle this.
But we certainly did not have the same amount of money that they did. And so what we did was we found ways to maximize the amount of money that we had to ensure that most of it went to the screen and went to the movie. So create a list of resources that you have, and this can be opportunities that you have with family and friends, and maybe it's colleagues in the industry that will lend you a camera or will lend you lighting gear, or whatever it might be. Look into your network, look into your family and friends, and see how they can help out. And not just you, but your colleagues. We, on Crown and Anchor, a perfect example of this is our co-producer and star Matt Wells' in-laws provided the catering. And they would come to set every day and with some cooked meals for our entire cast and crew. And it was kind of wonderful. It was, a great home-cooked meal while you're, on set for a long shoot day. But what we were able to achieve there, and the opportunity, was that we could save the money that we would have spent for catering. And in some instances, catering is expensive. It could mean an extra shoot day on an independent film, which really, really helps your director and your movie. We also had incredible opportunities in locations. People were generous to us. There's just so much generosity out there, and there are so many people that really do want to help you out if they identify in you your ambition and your excitement for something. That kind of stuff is contagious, and people want to be a part of it. So identify your resources and don't be afraid to go after them, because people really, really do want to help out if they can. The fifth and final tip seems like an obvious one, but it is one that I really want to mention, and it is get experience. Do not try to embark on producing an independent film until you feel like you've got the experience and the wherewithal to be able to undertake such a huge responsibility. I didn't produce my first independent film until I had worked in production in various capacities, both in television and film, for about 10 years. I sort of came up the ranks and became a producer. And what that does for you in working in different capacities in production is it sort of not only broadens your network of people and connections and people that you know in the industry that you can rely on, that can lend a hand to you or be of support. But what it does is it just really makes you, all of that experience makes you a better producer. If one of your main jobs as a producer is to be at the helm of it. You are in a leadership position, and a really important part of being a leader is being there to a support system for your crew, for the people that you're hiring. And you can't really, in an independent production, provide support to people if you don't know what their job is. So when you're out there in the field, ask questions, take different jobs, whether it's in the art department or as a PA or as a camera assistant. Do as much of that work as you can do, because it broadens your sense of production. It gives you a real kind of bird's eye view of what everyone does, and it gives you an opportunity to ask questions to different people and get a real solid sense of what it takes across all departments to produce a film. And when you're making an independent film, you obviously are restrained by your budget point. So there are other ways, if you're not paying your crew as much as you normally would, but they're on board because they just love the movie and they love independent films, or they want to get the credit, or they want to take the next step in their career, there's a lot of other ways that you can support them and make them feel of value. And if you really truly understand the nitty-gritty of what they do and what their job is, you are better equipped in doing that. So experience is absolutely essential. It's important. It makes you a better producer. It makes you a better leader. It makes you more confident, and it goes without saying, but it is incredibly, incredibly important. Thank you, Film Courage fans, for watching. I hope this was of service to you. I hopefully maybe shed some light on some new ideas. Maybe I reaffirmed some old ones. I don't know. But hopefully it was beneficial to you, and it taught you something about the crazy world of independent filmmaking. Big thank you to Film Courage for inviting us along and for supporting Crown and Anchor so much, not only with this video, but with my colleague Matt Wells' video, talking about the DIY spirit of the process of making this film, which you guys should check out. Our trailer's online. I hope you'll check it out. You can go to crownandanchorfilm.com to find out about a theatrical release, and follow us on social, all of those, crazy internet things. But we are excited, and thank you for watching, and we hope you'll join us along the crazy ride of this independent film.